Hello everyone, today we'll be going over Chapter 5, Ethics and Ethical Reasoning. I, Stephanie Quintana, and Lauren Hernandez will be presenting today. Alright, so let's get started with what is the meaning of ethics. As we all know, ethics is the concept of knowing right from wrong. Many of us are taught from an early age and are mentored by either our parents or legal guardians to know what is acceptable behavior inside our household and how we should act outside. Although parental guidance has been a big influence on what is expected, there are many other sources that can influence your view on what is considered right from wrong. For example, religious beliefs are a major source of ethical guidance for many. Other sources can be the school environment you are in all day long and school teachers you interact with, to neighbors and people in your neighborhood, to friends and admired role models. Now, another big controversial source is social media and the internet. Interacting and having experiences with these types of sources builds the concept of ethics, morality, and social acceptable behaviors. Ethical ideas are present in all societies, organizations, and individual persons, and vary greatly from one person to another. What you consider ethical, your neighbor might not think the same way. What your religious beliefs are and tells you that what is morally correct might not line up with a person sitting next to you. These types of scenarios bring up the issue of ethical relativism. By definition from the book, ethical relativism holds that ethical principles should be defined by periods of time in history, society's traditions, the special circumstances of the moment, or personal opinion. In this view, the meaning of ethics would be relative to time, place, circumstance, and the person involved. So on the previous slide, we learned about the meaning of ethics and how ethical relativism can be taken into consideration when deeming an action to be ethical. On this slide, let's discuss what business ethics are. According to our textbook, business ethics is the application of general ethical ideas to business behaviors. It is not a special set of ethical ideas different from ethics in general and only applicable to businesses. Another notable takeaway is that to be considered ethical, businesses must conclude the same ideas about what is proper behavior from the same sources as everyone else in society. As you can see in the picture on the right, there are many factors that businesses practice within their companies that they consider moral and ethically important. These include behavior, principle, trust, responsibility, relationship, reliability, choice, and morality. The big question is, why should businesses be ethical? According to a Huffington Post written by Megan Bram, she states that employees expect that companies that they work for should practice good ethical behaviors. In fact, 32% of employees would seriously consider leaving their jobs if the company that they work for did not actively support humanitarian causes. Megan states that in order to retain inspired workforce, it is critical for companies to pursue a better world. Not only do employees expect to work at an ethical business, but consumers also expect businesses to operate ethically. A Nielsen study found that 66% of customers were willing to pay more to purchase from ethical companies. The next reason why businesses should be ethical is that they not only have a moral duty, but they must abide by all state regulations and laws. No big secret here, we all must follow the laws. Businesses are the pioneers of shaping society to deem what is ethical, so since they can reach a large audience with just a single ad campaign or marketing, they have a moral duty to represent what is right in society. And lastly, when businesses act ethically, it can enhance business performance. Businesses increasingly are recognizing that ethics pays and are encouraging ethical behaviors by their employees. Consumers are willing to actively spend money on a business that encourages this type of behavior. When so many good things come from acting ethical, it makes it hard to believe that ethical problems can occur in businesses. So let's take a look at a couple of reasons why ethical problems do occur. The first reason is for self-gain and interest. Desire for personal gain or even greed causes some ethics problems. Businesses sometimes employ people whose personal values are less than desirable, who will put their own welfare ahead of all others, regardless of harm done to other employees, the company, or society. The next reason why ethical problems occur is because of the competitive pressure of profits. When companies are squeezed by tough competition, they sometimes engage in unethical activities to protect their profits. This may be especially true in companies whose financial performance is already substandard. Another reason is because of conflict of interest. Our textbook states that a conflict of interest occurs when an individual's self-interest conflicts with acting in the best interest of another, when the individual has an obligation to do so. For example, if a purchasing agent directed her company's orders to a firm from which she had received a valuable gift, regardless if this firm offered the best quality or value, she would have acted unethically because of a conflict of interest. In this situation, she would have acted to benefit herself rather than in the best interest of the employer. A failure to disclose a conflict of interest may represent deception in and of itself and may hurt the person or organization on whose behalf judgment has been exercised. Many ethicists believe that even the appearance of a conflict of interest should be avoided because it undermines trust. The last ethical conflict arises is because of cross-cultural contradictions. Some ethical problems occur as corporations do businesses in other societies where ethical standards differ from those at home. Policymakers and strategic planners in all multinational corporations face this kind of ethical dilemma. And now I will turn it over to Lauren so she can talk about how you can implement good business ethics. In this slide, we will be talking about how you can implement good business ethics. One way is to identify and renew company values. When companies see that the company values are based off of their beliefs rather than compliance, it'll encourage them to come to you with the problems that they face. This is just talking about your values of the company and how it shows to the employees that their voices will always be heard no matter the problems that they will face. Another way is to integrate ethics into all aspects of company communication. In order to show that ethics is a big part of your company, you should integrate ethics into everything and not just one thing. You should integrate ethics in sales training, new employee orientations, and business meetings. And last but not least, you should develop an ethics code of conduct. I believe that this is one of the most important things on the list because this shows the employee what matters to you as a company. When you are developing an ethics code of conduct, it allows the employee to see what is required of them and what you expect. It also shows which ethical issues are non-negotiable. I believe that this is the most important because it allows the employee to see where you stand on ethical issues and what is acceptable and what is not. It also doesn't leave any room for the employee to guess on things that they can or can't do.
This will solve many of the problems before it can even begin. This will also help the employee to not worry about misconduct in the workplace. In this slide, we will be talking about the core elements of ethical character. First, we will be talking about managers' values. Managers will set the stage as to where their employees will act ethically or unethically, meaning if a manager is ethical in all ways, their employees will likely do the same. If an employee sees that their manager acts in an unethical way, they will think that that behavior is okay and will also be unethical. The manager is the key for the place of work, and they need to act as such. Studies show managers who place more emphasis on moral value will see an increase in morale of the company. I'm sure you have seen it before. When a manager shows that they are more self-involved and have no care for the moral value of an employee, their business will go downhill. We will also be talking about spirituality in the workplace. When running a business, there should be no spiritual discrimination that isn't detrimental to the company. Meaning, if an employee is spiritually driven and it is not affecting the company in any negative way, they should be allowed to do so. But if an employee is hurting the company with their spirituality, then that is a different story. Scholars have found that spirituality positively affects employees by helping them deal with workplace stress. It also helps employees by enhancing their abilities and allowing them to show personal growth, employee commitment, and responsibility. Many organizations have showed their increased attention to spirituality by accommodating employees' religion in the workplace. This has shown an increase of meaningful work by their employees. In this slide, we will be talking about analyzing ethical problems in business. The first thing we will be talking about is determining and protecting entitlements. This is talking about the 5 basic rights that we as people have: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, free to assembly, and due process. As a business, you need to ensure that your employees' rights are always protected. But there is a flip side to that. As a business, you need to make sure that you are protected as well. You have the right to question an employee's honesty if you feel the need to do so. Despite this kind of problem, it is still important to make sure that your employees' rights are being protected. Another ethical problem in business is justice. Trying to find the balance between justice and fair may be a difficult task as a business owner. What might be seen as just to businesses, it might not be seen as fair to employees, and this is where we need to find our middle ground. An example is talking about pay. Sometimes the pay may be distributed equally but not fairly, and that is a problem in itself. You need to consider people's needs, efforts, and abilities. When putting this into consideration, fair shares will vary 99% of the time. If you are a business owner, I believe that this is one of the instances that you need to be crystal clear with your employees. You need to be able to tell them why they are getting paid that amount and what they can do to help themselves in that situation. Lastly, in this slide, we will be talking about monitoring and reporting unethical behavior. I believe that this is one of the most important aspects of business ethics because this is one of the things that employees worry about the most. In this slide, I will be talking about the Global Business Ethics Survey of 2021, which was published by the Ethics and Compliance Initiative, the ECI. In this survey, they surveyed over 14,000 people, and here are the results. 49% of employees surveyed that they have seen misconduct in the workplace. 86% of employees have said that they reported the misconduct that they observed. 79% of employees have said that they were retaliated against after reporting the misconduct. You need to step up and have a very important conversation with your employees about misconduct. When dealing with misconduct, I believe that managers need to have an open door policies so that employees feel safe and heard. We also need to find ways of preventing this unethical behavior and repairing its side effects. This is one of the things that businesses should have a meeting with their employees about. This will help them feel safe coming forward, and it'll always give them the courage to do so. Not only do we need to hear their opinion, but you need to act on it as well. Meaning that if an employee comes to you with a report of misconduct, this is something that needs to be taken seriously every single time it is reported. There needs to be a thorough investigation done on both sides of the story, and we need to make sure that this is not swept under the rug. As businesses, you need to get rid of the fear of retaliation by showing your employees that reporting misconduct is beneficial to the company. Not only is it beneficial to the company, but is beneficial to the employees as well. As a business, you should also acknowledge the employee's courage in making the report. It is always important to the business that the employees feel safe and heard.
And this concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time, and please enjoy our interactive activity. We did do a Kahoot, and the link is on the page.